Welcome to the Paul Hickey Podcast. Today, I talk to Thallen Brassel, a badass attorney and entrepreneur. You're going to want to hear what she's up to. Thanks for listening. Super not fancy, but anyway, so I thought it was cool that it seems like you have different types of clients that you would be able to help, like super corporate all the way through just maybe even personal brands.
I was going to say bloggers, influencers, things like that. Yeah.
So I'm super intrigued to hear about that.
So all of this came about basically because I was super obsessed with YouTube and blogging and social media. I know I was in law school when blogging first kind of made its debut into being very popular. And so I tried my hand in blogging. I still do an etiquette blog. I just generally like the subject. And so I started off as a tax attorney, which is totally different than what I'm doing now. And it was corporate tax on Wall Street in New York. And then I moved back to Nashville, and it kind of transitioned into a general corporate practice. And I actually got connected with an attorney in our firm in our Atlanta office who was doing media work, a lot of media, communications, even promotion, so contests and sweepstakes. And then when she and I started working together, we started picking up more social media things because I had that expertise, and I think it probably, like I said, just stemmed from having a genuine interest in it. And so then keeping up with what the laws look like around that, what terms and conditions on the different platforms look like around that. And so we started being able to kind of expand that practice area to include those things. But now you're absolutely right. I just went to a marketing law conference in Chicago, and there were 800 people there, all, legal professionals and marketers for large companies. And that's who you tend to see with the big representation. And at the law firm, that tends to be who I represent a lot. So big companies who want to do promotions or want to engage customers on social media and have those interactions. But I also, saw a need for the little people, the bloggers and the influencers who really have no idea about the laws in this space, needing people to say, hey, this is kind of what you need to watch out for. Are you putting hashtag sponsored or hashtag ad or, something like that on these posts that you're doing? Because in the past, you see the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, who does a lot of policing in this space, so to speak. They have typically gone after the big company. So it's just you are, fill in the name of the big company who's engaging this little person to, connect with their audience, this mommy blogger to connect with her audience to sell your product. So if you don't explain to them what to do, it's on you. But lately, just recently, the FTC has actually sent warning letters to the individual influencer.
Interesting.
And so now you see folks who are I didn't even know there were laws about this.
They're now getting as big as the big companies.
Exactly. I mean, you think about it as time passes and the space becomes more developed, initially it was just most people probably didn't even think you could make a living from blogging. This was just a hobby, in the minds of the general public. But it's just a lot of bloggers probably make a lot more money than most folks do,
For sure.
Exactly. Just, really selling the brand and selling the influence that they have. And so now it's, it seems like the FTC might be saying, hey, it's time to hold you guys accountable as well too. And so that's why I was just kind of I think there's definitely a need to let some of the other people know.
So what does it feel, how is it to kind of be in a space that's being created as you go? I feel like it's the wild, wild west, and then they're creating. So how quickly are laws created, and then how do you get the information? How do you stay
right on
rest
top
of the
it all.
information and then communicate that or get so. And sorry, I have like so many questions I want to ask you. I'm trying to go one at a time.
No, it's fine. So I really love a space like this. Like I said, I started off in tax law and then like corporate M&A. And as a young attorney, I feel like I enjoy this space better because I can kind of be in the forefront, like be there as, you know, the space is kind of being defined, which is great. Otherwise, I kind of felt like, you know, with tax and with corporate, I was coming in, you know, it was almost like a history lesson in addition to learning the craft of what you're doing.
Yeah.
With this, it's just like I feel like I'm really in there and I'm really living it. Like I'm seeing it develop.
Yeah.
And that for me, I'm more of a, you know, like a visual hands-on type learner. And so that for me has made a big difference in even my enthusiasm about it because it's just like, okay, I see where this is going versus let me try to figure out where it's been for a really long period of time, which is the case with tax and corporate. So that's what's really exciting to me. And like I said, I'm just kind of obsessed with YouTube, and I literally could just like watch YouTube.
So how did you start? So you were before you became a tax attorney. Go back a little bit.
Okay.
To when you what did you want to do when you were in high school, college? How did you kind of make your decision? And you're from Nashville?
I'm from Memphis.
Okay.
I got to Nashville because I came to Vandy for college.
Okay.
Then I went to Duke for law school, and that's kind of where. So I always wanted to be a lawyer or in the business space. But when I was in law school, as my break from the ridiculous amount of reading and that you have to do, I would go on YouTube and watch makeup tutorials or fashion videos, and that's when I started blogging and dabbling in making YouTube videos. Like if you go way back, I probably have a video from 2006 or 2007, talking about nail polish and just whatever, to take my mind off of torts and criminal law and all that stuff. So that's kind of how I got started. And then, like I said, it really was a Wild Wild West back then. There was nothing. There wasn't even really internet law, so to speak. Just vaguely, if something, if a tort or some other type of case was created using the internet, then you kind of saw the internet being introduced into cases or case law. But there was no body of law surrounding the internet, and definitely not surrounding influencers per se.
Yeah.
And so
influencers probably the term didn't even
exactly exist. No, they were just people who you just like to tune into, and they weren't making money. I don't even know if I want to say the YouTube Partner Program may have been fresh at that time. So it was just not you weren't automatically making money off videos. It was truly just I just like to talk about this, and I just wanted to share it with people. So that's how I got into it.
Did you think I could do this? This is what I want to do? Or
So initially I was okay, I really like this, and then I was this is a very neat hobby.
Yep.
And I don't think I ever thought, maybe there was a period of time where I was just being a lawyer is kind of dry. Let me, maybe I should instead try to be a fashion blogger or a beauty blogger or something. And I was maybe not.
Yeah.
Because, lawyers tend to be more risk averse. And so, there was always you probably should, use this degree that it took this amount of time to get and this amount of money to get. And, so I never quite made a go of it in that space. But then, I still was really interested in it. So it kind of morphed into this practice area that I've created now.
Okay, this makes so much sense to me. There's a lot of parallels to my story too, in that in 2006 I created my own website because I was a little bit bored with my job.
Okay.
I turned that into an actual business about a year later. I hired an attorney through my uncle's law firm who was the only one that knew anything about internet law, like you said.
Yep.
But there was really nothing other than just the same things you would do for any other business.
Really. Exactly. Yeah.
And then being risk averse, being married, eventually starting a family, not wanting to, knowing that it would be a grind to be, in my case, in your case, fashion, makeup, things like that. Mine was sports, fantasy football was mine. So it was I'm going to have to grind to make even half of what I'm making already.
Exactly.
So how am I going to, and then just having the self-awareness to know, like, I'm not going to be really, then I'm not going to be happy. Like, if I'm not happy in my job now, I'm just going to trade one kind of...
And it takes the fun out of what was super fun for you. Yeah.
Exactly. So then I'm excited for you then to continue to tell your story, and I'm excited for where I know you are now, where you're like, because I can see how you put the pieces together, because now you're basically applying both.
Yes.
Okay, so now...
And so it's so funny because, you know, in a corporate setting, you know, there are all these firewalls and stuff. I'm like, are you watching YouTube at your desk? It's like, I get to watch YouTube and go on Facebook at my desk because I'm literally, like, you know, doing something for a client, or, you know, like searching out, like, how are these rules playing out? Instagram, for instance, just put this new feature on where you can put that it's a sponsored post, like kind of up at the top, where if you have a business page, you can link whoever you're working with as an affiliate. You know, like if you're wearing their clothes, you can put sponsored by so-and-so up at the top. But it's interesting because the FTC has said that may not necessarily be enough. And so I like to go on and kind of see how are people using these new features? Like, are they, you know, going a step beyond to kind of do what, you know, the FTC what would make the FTC like really happy, you know? So I tend to have, like, you know, my Word, you know, drafting documents, but I also have a screen where I get to keep my Instagram and YouTube and Facebook up, because I'm working, people. I promise I'm working.
No, that's awesome, because there's got to be like this element of Instagram just launched a feature yesterday that we all found out about basically just by using it. Like, there's no announcement. So it's like, it was just a feature that they added to the story where you can say, like, this is a part of my story that I want to use, and you can actually save your stories for longer.
Nice.
So
I'll have to check that out.
And I don't even really know. I just happened to be doing a story yesterday. And it popped up. And
I was
so,
looking
it
at
won't go away
stories
until you
this
kind of
morning.
use it.
Okay.
You use it.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out.
So you should check it out. And then, and so what I was going to say is, like, I would imagine that there's this element of, we don't even know when a feature is going to be, and how that feature would then affect potential. So how far behind is it? I feel like the FTC would be behind.
Yeah, so
everyone's behind.
Right, so everyone's behind, which is good, because it kind of like gives you leeway to, you know, self-correct and to try things out and see how it works, you know. But honestly, it really is just a matter of, you know, making sure you do things that feel right. Like what the FTC generally, you know, I'm not a representative of the FTC, but generally speaking, they don't want customers to be misled, or the general public to feel like they're, you know, like there's not truth in what you're doing. So, you know, generally speaking, they want people to say, you know, I was paid to review this. Okay. You know, and a lot of people always add, you know, the opinions are still mine. Like, I'm still being honest with you, but they want people to know, like, if you're getting compensated in some way, if it's in the form of money or getting a product, you know, I'm being compensated to do this. And that's, like, the most important thing. And so it just gets a little tricky in, you know, your idea of how you might convey that you're being paid might be different than my way of conveying, and that's where the FTC.
So they're trying to establish some kind of, like, guideline,
exactly,
to where people in your profession can then have, like, a legal advice recommendation for your client to say, this is what. That makes sense. I feel like that's going to be something that's not going to be too hard to establish, because, and it should be there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and I can see where, like, sponsored might not be enough to what you're saying.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to ask you a little bit about what are the differences between the big corporate clients and the influencer, in terms of, like, what does that engagement kind of look like? What does the client come to you needing in each case?
Right. So the difference is going to be totally obvious. It's going to be the dollars behind it.
Okay.
So the companies will have the resources to say, take this, research it to the depth, make sure there has been no situation where anything that we're doing could possibly even toe the line. And if you think about it, the bigger companies, not only do they have, you know, the resources to put behind it, but they have, like, bigger reputations on the line. You know, like, one poor decision could be the death, you know, like PR death for a company. And so you tend to see there where, they come in and say, this is our end goal. Like, we want to engage more customers or get new customers or expose ourselves to people who, aren't currently shopping with us.
Yeah.
And they'll say, we want to do this in a form of a contest or a sweepstakes. Or, we want to go on social media and, host a giveaway through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes you see, like, we want to hire a celebrity or an influencer to promote our products. What do we need to do? What do we need to put in place to be completely protected from pretty much anything that might come our way?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you get when you get a big company. They have these big budgets and, big ideas, and it's my job to put together something that is structurally and legally sound, still while working with the creative folks and the marketing folks.
I was going to say, you're probably working also with, like, their marketing department and their agency, perhaps.
Exactly.
So there's like this triangle of,
exactly.
And you're bringing everything together.
Yes, to make everybody happy. And, you tend to, sometimes you see the lawyers kind of being the bad guys, like being like, I know that's a really cool idea that you want people to film themselves like jumping off a roof with your product, but probably not like the best legal decision.
Right.
And so, it's balancing that. I feel, this is my personal opinion, that I'm a very creative lawyer in terms of lawyers.
Talk about that, because I know exactly where you're going, and that's important. Like, for you to be extremely, your value proposition would be what you're saying, which is I'm going to be the one that's actually going to provide alternative options so that everyone can accomplish what they want out of this and not get sued.
Right. But on the other hand, like, I get it. Like, there are other people I know, tons of lawyers I know who probably would not be suited for a space like this because they like the cut and dry, like this, and that's it. Like, they can't really see the whole, see outside the box. And, you were asking what would I do if I, didn't do the whole law thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do business, but I actually considered, like, going into marketing. And so, like, if I wasn't an attorney, I think I would probably do something like exactly. And so, like, I get what you're trying to accomplish. Like, I get the big picture and how you're trying to really engage people. But let's try to do it inside these parameters so that, like I said, it's not like anybody's going to jail,
right?
But you just don't want the FTC to come knocking at your door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you work with those types of corporate clients, is it mostly that they already get that they need to be doing this kind of promotion and this kind of advertising because that's where everyone's attention is?
Yes.
Because coming into this interview with you today, I was like, my experience being a digital marketer is that I do so much that I get asked the question so many times, okay, sell me on why we even need to be doing this.
Gotcha.
And then when I give them all the data around I know you can't sell the unsellable, so those typically aren't our clients, but they're part of the process. And so my perception, just by nature of my job, is that I see a lot of larger companies just like not even wanting, still in 2017, 10 years later, they're still not wanting to go into it. So are you dealing with circumstances at all around that, or are you just more like the larger clients get it already and they just want to protect themselves?
Right. I typically see people who get it and want to be in that space, and they just need to figure out what's the best way to do it to limit their exposure. Sometimes I get the calls of, I literally got a call the other day from a company that said, we have this marketing person who's no longer with us, and they created a contest that nobody else knew about. And we found it on our website, and now we want to see, like, what do we do? Like, how do we handle it at this point? And so it's weird. Like, I actually get quite a few of those of like, we kind of did this on our own. We're here. Now what do we do? Like, help us,
Yeah.
And so those are always interesting to try to like, and like I said, it's all about minimizing exposure. Like, nobody's going to jail here. Hopefully you're not getting a big fine because you're not, you didn't do something, you did something that atrocious.
Yeah.
Typically, you just want to make sure everything you do is fair and truthful and not misleading so that no one can, have a claim against the company to say, I was misled by this and I, suffered this harm and now I want to be remedied for this harm. Like, I want you to pay me. So that's what you're trying to limit. But I know, your other question, like the difference between those, like the big companies and the, small potatoes, where you think about like the individual people, aren't really even necessarily aware of the risk. They're not aware of the potential liability. They're just like, oh, I'm out here. I'm so excited to work with this company. Exactly. Yeah, I'm a business. What do you mean I'm a business? And they're typically so excited to work with the companies, and it's not necessarily always even, because if you think about it, like I said, the conference I went to, 800 people there, all representing big companies. Yeah. All, these folks are coming with their legal teams, with the marketing team, the legal team, the outside counsel, and then, you're a blogger, and you're like excited to have the opportunity to work with this big company. Sure, I'll sign. Whatever.
So the companies, that was going to be my next question. So is there like a typical like master services agreement? Like, I would think an influencer would be like, MSA, like what?
Right, like what is
there like an agreement passed between the company and the
If the company is smart, then the company has created a celebrity influencer endorsement agreement. Okay. And that agreement will cover, all the terms of the contract, like how much am I being paid, how long will the relationship last, what types of promotions am I doing, what are you looking for me to say, what type of products are you looking for me to review. But it also includes protections of the company wants you to say something within these boundaries. If you say anything else, we're not responsible. Okay. So you're going to see probably quite a bit of the company being like, okay, we're giving you this much of a leash. If you go outside of that, then we're, limiting our liability for those things. Okay. And if the person on the other side, if the influencer or the celebrity doesn't have someone to look at that contract and say, well, hey, I'm not responsible for, if I say this and then XYZ happens and it's really, more of a company responsibility versus a person responsibility, then you have an influencer who has more exposure than he or she needs to have. Yeah. And so that's why I was just like, there's got to be somebody on this side to represent these folks, because the big companies are coming prepared. Yeah. Yeah.
So for you, do you have like a kind of a package for influencers where you say like, here's just kind of the core simple set of things you need to protect yourself?
So what I typically do, like I said, being at a law firm, of course, the companies are the one who can afford that big law firm bill that I have to pass on. But, on my social media, I have a blog, thallenbrassel.com, where I'm talking about things that individuals would be interested in, that influencers would be interested in. And I would love to put together a package where it's almost kind of like just discussing the topics, because I feel like a lot of folks just aren't even aware of the risk. And so that's what I'm working on. That's my 2018 goal, is to put together, just like, even if it's a series of where you can learn about, okay, this is what's happening in this aspect of it. This is what's happening in the social media sponsored post realm, and give people an opportunity to kind of access that and just learn about it, and then, even engage their own attorney or, someone who does this type of law on a not big law firm scale, that's more affordable. Mm-hmm.
Do it.
I know, let's go for it.
If you were a client of ours, I would just say, yep, you got that's the strategy, do it.
Yeah. It's like,
I can tell you would kill it. I mean, I know it's like, it's extra.
Yeah,
but that's going to be so valuable to people, and you'll be, I mean, you can establish yourself as the go-to resource for that, because you probably know what's out there,
right?
more so than anybody here, which puts you in a position to kind of be the go-to resource starting in 2018.
Okay, awesome. 2018 is the year.
Yeah,
let's do it.
That's awesome. You're a badass.
Yay!
Thanks so much for being on the show, and there's so many other things I think we need to talk about in the future, and have you back and everything like that.
Awesome.
Is there anything else you want to kind of share about what you've got going on, or
let's see? Okay, so I know you were saying, that's a little bit extra, but I feel like I live my life doing like the extra stuff, right?
Let's get into that.
There's always something.
I'm the same way.
So I'm doing the social, like developing the social media marketing, advertising practice, but I also started a lunch club here in Nashville for women.
Okay.
And so it's for professional women, and we meet once a month. And I bring in speakers from all over. So speakers, local speakers, people from, that you would not have access to here in Nashville. I'm flying in Judge Faith Jenkins. She has just like the new Judge Judy,
Awesome.
sorts. She was she started off as like a Wall Street litigator and was a prosecutor and like a talking head on CNN, and now she's runner-up for Miss America. She's like,
wow.
But so she's gonna come in and we do these very intimate lunches to like 20-ish people.
Okay.
So you can really get in front of folks who you always wanted to meet and ask them questions and really like figure out, if this is someone who like I aspire to be like, how do I get there? And so that was my 2017 project. And so we're launching those starting in January. The first person is going to be the owner of the cupcake collection here. She has this really inspiring story. Like, I think they were going to foreclose her house.
She was at the Red Letter Day, right?
Yes. They were going to foreclose her house, like, right when she opened the cupcake, and she's, like, making a few dollars a day, and now she has this cupcake empire. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, so all about inspiring people, and, that really has a lot to do with marketing and advertising, too. So... that was my pet project for 2017 that I'm taking into 2018. Then I'm going to get started on those videos next year. So
you have the breakfast, it just says a lunch.
Just a lunch club.
Mm-hmm. And you have all the dates set and everything for 2018?
The dates are set and on the website, ladylunchclub.com.
Ladylunchclub.com.
Yes, ladylunchclub.com. And the speakers are set for January and February, and I'm in negotiations for, I think, through June. At this point.
Yeah. Cool. And is there spots open for people to...
Always spots open. It's a ticketed event. So like each month we'll open up tickets for the next event. January is already sold out, but February they're up on Eventbrite. So you can just go through the website for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is great.
That's what I'm doing.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to the Paul Hickey Podcast, and a special thank you to our guest today, Thallen Brassel. We sincerely hope you learned something that can help you with your business. Thanks, and have a great day.